I have a Dodge 2002 B1500 van. It's got a bad fuel pump in it, and dropping the tank is just unbelievable. It's full and it's really long. It would be very hard to get out, so I'm going to just drill and make an access panel in the top of the bed and just take the fuel pump out from the top. To give you an idea where to make your measurements, if you go to where the fuel filler is on the inside and you make a center line mark and then measure over 6 inches, you can draw a line here. That would be this line here, and then make a parallel mark 10 inches from this line about 10 inches. That would be this mark here, and then it's 28 inches from the outside panel to about the center of the, I don't know if you can see this, but there's the top of the fuel pump ring. It's about 28 inches to the center. So I came off 5 inches either way. See that? I made a mark at 22, say, and 32. And then there's my square that I'm going to cut out. Basically, I'm going to take a Milwaukee drill with a hole saw, and I'm going to drill each corner out. And then I'll take a jigsaw or a sawzall and cut down my lines and get rid of this panel. Then later I'll just go to Home Depot, get some sheet metal after I replace the fuel pump, and tack it in with some self-tapping screws and a little bit of caulk, and that'll keep the noise and the cold air out and the fumes from the exhaust. Something to be aware of when you're drilling is definitely have a flashlight so you can look into the holes after you drill them. And best thing to do is, you can see the end of this drill. You want to set the this pilot bit only maybe about a 1/4 inch below the hole saw. The reason being is when you drill this hole here, the tank is very close to the bed, so I only drilled in I only drilled in until it went through that sheet metal in the bed. I didn't go any further, maybe 1/8 of an inch or so, because that pilot bit didn't go through the tank, but it was awful close. So just be aware. the other holes are not so deep.
Hello?
Hello?
Okay.
Before you use the jigsaw to cut the metal panel out, I'm going to use a razor knife with a hook blade, and I'm going to just cut out this bed liner and the carpet that's underneath. That way the jigsaw doesn't get all tangled up in the carpet fibers. Okay, I got the rubber mat out. Now I'm just going to use a pair of heavy-duty scissors to trim the carpet in the bed liner back, and I can get the jigsaw in here. Okay, the carpet's out, and basically I've felt around through my pilot holes, my examination holes here, and I can't feel any hoses or wires that are in the way at my outer edges. I'm feeling, you know, in all directions. Here in the center is where the pump is, so it's got the hoses right about here. So I'm going to avoid that. I don't think on my jigsaw I can set the depth of the blade, but I may have to, when I'm running it through here, just be careful and possibly put a wooden block down and go along so that the blade just goes down through the metal, just maybe a 1/4 inch or so. Let's see what happens. Well, this metal blade is not very long. You can kind of see it goes way up near the base and doesn't come out very far. So I'm not going to be able to use a block of wood, and it may be a little rough going because, you know, there's a lot of gap here between the bed and the top of this rubber mat. So I'm just going to have to be careful as I jigsaw it, and so it's not hitting the metal bed and bouncing up and down. I think I'll just use the number 3 setting as far as speed of the blade and just see how it goes. Well, the jigsaw worked great on this one cut, but it was because the bed's raised here, and of course it dips down, up and down, so the jigsaw wasn't going to work on these other cuts. So I got out a sawzall with a metal blade, a short metal blade. Just have to be very careful. I can actually feel in this hole there is a wire that's maybe, I don't know, about 2 inches down, maybe an inch down. It's coming across this way to the center of the fuel pump. I guess it's the power wires, and then right up under here is the unibody frame of the van, and I can feel that there is a wire harness, possibly even fuel line, that's running straight across. So I think with the sawzall on this cut, I'm going to come away a 1/2 inch from this mark and then come down this way and avoid that fuel line, and just have the blade in just as small as possible so it's not going to hit any wires. Okay, I was careful with the sawzall, and here's the plate, and here's the top of the fuel pump. I said, I was very careful not to go too deep with the saw. Here's your fuel line. Here's the electrical wire. Everything is good. Didn't nick anything. And didn't cut into any of the tank. So what I'll do is I'll get the shop vac, vacuum up all these chips. You know, just disconnect the fuel pump, undo this locking ring, pull it out, and then get a new one and put it right in. Hopefully that'll solve my intermittent fuel pump issue. And then, like I said, get some sheet metal from Home Depot, cut it, tuck it in under here, throw in a couple self-tapping screws, some caulk, and I should be good to go. Okay, so I got everything out and vacuumed, and just to be clear, the center of the fuel pump, is 28 inches from the outside skin of the van, and it's around 11 inches to the center, from the center of the where the filler pipe is. To the center of the fuel pump. And I went with a 10-inch opening square, and that gives you enough to get your hand or any kind of tools or a hammer in here if you have to beat on this to get it to come off. Here's the two metal plates I screwed in, and I'm just going to put the old mat back for now and put some duct tape on it. There's a way of fixing this. There's a product on the internet, can't remember the name of it, but it's like a flexible silicone putty you put on, and it dries. You build it up in a couple layers, then you sand it,